The time is at hand.
From Williamson, West Virginia, the gateway to the crackheads, this is In Dark Places. Today, I have some Skinwalker stories for you. My mom dated this guy who was big into hunting. The guy told me a story of a time he encountered something that scared him to this day and made him quit hunting altogether. I guess him and his buddies went to Alaska to hunt big game. They had stopped at some place to get supplies, and I guess one of the locals had wanted them to stay away from the area, especially at night. They had to go through or close to the area to get where they needed to hunt. So one of the guys asks why they shouldn't be in that area. The man simply and swiftly replied, "Just don't." He thought it was weird and brushed it off, seeing how they wouldn't be specifically in the area at night if they needed to camp. Also, they had their weapons too. So with all that, they headed out. So I guess they had issues in the area, had extreme weather, which caused them to detour. So they found themselves in the area the locals had warned them about. Nightfall came and a fire was lit. They started talking about eating snacks. Then it was getting late, so one of the guys went to the tent to sleep and the other guy sat by the fire. I guess not long after that, they heard this screeching or wailing sound coming from the dark woods. It seemed far off to them, but the harder they listened, the closer it seemed to get, and fast. The guy that had gone to bed first got his gun and walked out of the tent to see what was going on. The screeching sound got louder and closer, so they fired off a couple of rounds carelessly into the dark woods, and then it stopped. Then I guess what happened next was they started to feel like whatever it was circling them. So I guess they started firing all around, kind of like the movie Predator. Careless, I know, but yeah. So I guess that went on all night when they all passed out and all their guns were gone, all their stuff shredded. The trees around them had claw marks. Said there was only 3 deep claw marks, like the thing ran and clawed the tree. They said no tracks of any sort. So they left fast and told everyone the story. I mean, that could have been a Bigfoot. Here with a possible Skinwalker story is my good buddy, Jimmy Haunted.
This is your old friend, Mr. Haunted, with this week's Cryptid Corner. Now, this story comes from an upcoming book with this chapter tentatively titled On a Dark Desert Highway. Little nod to the Eagles there. And here it goes. In 2003, I was transitioning from California to New York after accepting a job offer in New York City. Having quit my job in San Francisco, I had a month of free time before starting my new position. 2 years ago, I graduated from the University of California, Santa Cruz. I decided to visit friends from college that were now scattered around the country. I packed everything I owned into my little yellow Toyota pickup with a camper top and headed out on a road trip. My first stop was going to be Atlanta, but first I wanted to visit Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon while I was at this great part of the country. When I reached Barstow, which is a town in the Mojave Desert and is a couple hours east of Los Angeles, I lost control of my truck for a second, was able to right myself, and pull over onto the shoulder of the highway. After pulling over, I gave my truck a quick inspection and discovered my left rear tire was flat. I switched out my flat tire with a spare and was able to drive a few miles before I could find a tire repair shop. The shop was a no-frills cinder block workshop with walls lined with tires that had cheap prices painted in big white numbers. It turned out it was just the air intake valve that had broken, likely from the desert heat, and only cost $4.50 to repair. It was close to sunset, and I headed out again. I was enjoying the drive with the crimson red and glittering gold sky behind me. The desert was beautiful in its vast emptiness. After spending the last 2 years in an office environment, I felt excited being under a gigantic and beautiful sky while the tall, majestic cactus scrolled past my truck on either side. Sunset fell to darkness, and the celestial show above the desert was another display of the natural world's unbelievable beauty. There was no moon. I pulled over and got out of my car just to look up. It was almost midnight, and aside from the stars, I could see the Milky Way, and when I looked at it from the clear skies of the night desert, it really lived up to its name. Suddenly, I felt uncomfortable and felt very alone. I drove on and noticed something in my rearview mirror that reminded me that I was not alone. It wasn't a car, though. It was a man. He was running. I rationalized I must have passed him and just not noticed him. I kept driving as he faded away. It just didn't add up. Something was off. I couldn't think of a scenario where a man was running through the desert at night. Maybe it was a cactus and my mind was playing tricks on me. Later that night, I checked in my rearview mirror and saw him again. This time, he wasn't fading away, but was holding speed about 10 to 12 car lengths back. I could barely see him. I checked my speed, and I was going about 60, so I let off the accelerator a little. The man was still running now, about 3 car lengths behind me, his figure illuminated by the red glow of my taillights. He was naked and barefoot and running like that. It was terrifying and amazing at the same time. What was this creature, and what did he want with me? I floored it, but my truck was loaded up and doesn't accelerate well anyway, so as the speedometer moved up slowly, I kept focus on the man running behind my truck. He was picking up speed and was now running in the lane to my left. Through my driver's side window, I could see him well. His neck-length hair was dark and pushed back, his skin was dark, and his face and eyes were black. His face had 3 angled white stripes on each side, like he was wearing some kind of war paint. I hit 90 on my speedometer, and he still ran ahead of me. I thought about turning around and going the opposite way, but seeing how fast he was, what was the use? There was a bunch of small stones on the highway in front of me, and I had to hit the brakes. The man was standing in the middle of the road with his arms outstretched towards me and pointed both index fingers at me. I took this as some sort of challenge. While staring at me, he swiped his neck with his finger horizontally from left to right. I understood his sign language. He walked up to the driver's side window and tapped on it several times, all the while talking in a language that made no sense to me. Now, I could see his face very clearly. It was painted black with 3 white stripes under each eye and a white oval shape on his forehead. I was relieved to see 2 headlights in my rearview mirror. A rig was approaching. The man looked at it and then back at me and ran off and disappeared deep into the desert. The truck veered into the other lane, and my truck shook as the rig passed with its blaring horn. After it passed, everything got eerily quiet as the dust fell back onto the road as the truck vanished into the darkness ahead. Only stopping for gas once in New Mexico, I drove non-stop until I was in Texas. I won't be doing any driving in the deserts of the American Southwest again. I feel as though there is a spirit that knows who I am and has unfinished business, and I prefer not to see him again. Back to you, Junebug, with more In Dark Places.
Thank you, Jimmy. What do you guys think? Is it a skinwalker? I don't know. The person didn't really say if he believed it was a skinwalker or what. Kind of sounds like a skinwalker. Thanks for listening. Thanks as always, Jimmy Haunted. We'll see you again next time. God bless.